we are Team ILEAD MDI. My name is Lisa Murray. I am a public librarian at the Southwest Harbor Public Library in Southwest Harbor on Mount Desert Island. I'm also one of three part-time librarians at the Pematic Public School, also in Southwest Harbor.
And I'm Clara Baker. I direct the Bass Harbor Memorial Library in Bernard.
I'm Devon Pappas. I'm the high school librarian at Mount Desert Island High School.
And my name is Siobhan Ryan, and I'm the elementary school librarian at the Connors Emerson School in Bar Harbor.
So it wasn't so long ago that we all researched the old-fashioned way. Anyone else recognize a little bit of this? Searching through a card catalog and hunting for books in remote, dusty stacks. Reading through periodical indexes and diligently working our way through publications on microfiche. Research has changed with lightning speed in the brief 20 years. Online databases, access to faraway collections, digital encyclopedias, online everything from newspapers to medical journals to blogs. Adequate education on use and access to this information for students and library patrons has not kept pace. Even today in 2015, there's a lot of scrambling going on. Teachers in libraries are scrambling to help students research, but individual schools and school districts are also scrambling to meet their budget limitations and have been cutting the library positions in response to changing demographics and limited funding. In our area, which is AOS 91, only 2 certified teacher librarians remain in a system with 9 schools. Most of the schools now hire part-time staff to provide library services, like myself. Some are ed techs, and some, like myself, are public librarians with no teaching certification or experience. There is an inequity in our services to our K-8 population. It hasn't taken long for this inequity to be noticed in our consolidated high school. Students are arriving for their freshman year ill-equipped for the rigors of high school level research and writing projects. About 3 years ago, a call went out to the area librarians and teachers that middle schoolers are not getting the research skills that they need to meet high school standards. As public librarians, we listened and we helped where we could, but we weren't public school teachers. We weren't in the classrooms, or even teaching school librarians. We often worked with our patrons with research projects and information literacy, but we weren't in the island's classrooms. We couldn't reach those kids. So in the fall of 2014, a group of 8 librarians, representing 7 different libraries, some public and some school, sat down together to talk about commonalities, our goals, our needs, and technologies. The group quickly recognized a common need for students and patrons to have better, more user-friendly access to research in libraries. The state's database portal, Marvel, is cumbersome, said the teachers and public librarians. Student database portals are expensive, said the districts. Students don't know how to assess the validity of websites, cite their work, or develop and share their own ideas, said the teachers and parents at the high school level. Middle school teachers seemed uncertain how to help students, how to communicate research skills, and where to direct students for quality resources. It seemed like an opportunity to share some of the expertise of librarians and transition the library experience to a quality research experience. Indeed, this was the pitch in the Maine ILEAD project proposal: work to create a research portal for students in grades 4 through 8. This is where the ILEAD MDI team of Devon Pappas, Siobhan Ryan, and Clara Baker, and myself, Lisa Murray, found ourselves a year ago. Just 4 school and public librarians, all parents concerned about the future of libraries and librarians in our school system. Southwest Harbor Public Library Assistant Director Kate McMullen and AOS 91 Curriculum Coordinator Julie Meltzer were so inspired by the feedback from this meeting that they felt a project addressing this need would be a good match for the Maine ILEAD grant. The grant proposal was drafted by the two with language tailored to fit the needs of the AOS, and more specifically, designating the work to address students and teachers. The public libraries would benefit from this work, mostly in the form of professional development in collaboration, but the primary goal was to address the gaps in the research curriculum at the K through 8 level. With the deadline for ILEAD applications looming, there was very little time to assemble 5 team members and 8 community representatives. Finally, after ambushing the board of directors at the last library holdout, the group had assembled their team, just barely making the deadline. Lisa, Siobhan, Devon, and Clara had become ILEAD MDI.
Okay, so thinking about how to enrich research experiences for students has been, as you can imagine, an immense challenge, let alone trying to do it in 9 months. But to tell the story, we want to walk you through some of our thought processes, hurdles, and moments of inspiration that have brought us to the end of ILEAD. Early on, well, it's not a surprise, but we felt stymied, that we needed to stay close to the initial grant request, and we floundered. Particularly as it became apparent that the idea of creating a one-site experience that would lead students to the best librarian-vetted research database was both unwieldy and implausible. The grant proposal had imagined a single-site experience, and we talked about vetting databases and amassing a site that we would ask then the schools to buy into, both literally and figuratively. But we had begun having misgivings about this possibility. And Pam Goucher, our wise and mentor team leader, agreed. She had worked on similar efforts at the state level that had failed because of high licensing and fees. Let's see. We had also learned from Stephanie Zarensky that the Maine State Library people were working on a student-friendly access to Marvel. We were reassured that trying to create this sort of bridge to our state-funded resources was already in motion. So here we came to our first ILEAD session, and we absorbed the messages that keeping library work local and using our community to inform our libraries, and of course indirectly our ILEAD project itself, should also be grounded in our community. We were also inspired by messages that librarians are radically rethinking their role in their community, turning old ideas on their head and moving from transaction to transformation. We heard and had our experiences confirmed that schools are closed communities. Toward the end of the first ILEAD session, our group had one of our first magical moments. We were gathered around the fire in the hotel lobby in a work session with our mentor, draped on sofas and sprawled on the floor. We were chewing over the idea of how to grab the students, how to entice them to engage research. And the description of the successful use of badging to engage children in one community had just been delivered in a remote lecture, if you remember. And we were energized in imagining a game, an interactive experience for the students. So at that point we agreed that we would work together to pursue this path in our next intersessions.
So we left the first ILEAD session imagining our project as an interactive game to guide students through a research project from inception to presentation. In our early intersession meetings, we played with the idea of tying the game to our local community resources for research. We spent some time developing these contact lists and content possibilities. But the more we worked on it, the less it seemed to meet the needs of the school curriculum. We all know how busy teachers already are, and we were worried about creating something that they would not feel they would be able to use because of it feeling extra, or in addition to their curriculum requirements, no matter how great it was. Eventually, we decided to abandon the local gaming idea. We were also concerned that the project was too unwieldy and not doable. I proposed to the group that we create a series of 6 videos that put librarians at the center of teaching the research process. I had some experience with filmmaking with my partner in film awesomeness, Jeff Zayman, because of the All About Those books and Rather Be at the Library videos. And I felt that if we used the videos as an introduction to each part of the research process, we would then have an in, a foot in the classroom door, if you will, to start to effectively collaborate with teachers as they move students through the research process. We voted as a group and decided to change tacks. Sorry for the double screening. We started to gather resources around the FINES research process, which I modified and developed, and which is already being integrated into the social studies curriculum in the district at the middle school level, and at the high school level. I developed this process after a lot of research about research over the course of the better part of a year. To be able to use it for this perfect seemed to make perfect sense. We headed into the second ILEAD session in June, agreeing to work on the videos for teachers and students and a website to facilitate research. The new direction was still fresh for us as we presented our poster session in Bangor in June. The initial idea of assisting teachers and students with the research process still held, but we had not actually begun the work of building the text for the videos or the content for the website. When we returned from the second session, summer had arrived on MDI. School was ending for some of us, and for others of us in public libraries, our work demands intensified with the influx of patrons and summer visitors. But over the summer, some rough draft ideas for scripts began to take shape. A voice emerged, a gentle, fun introduction to students using Minecraft as the example that students could easily relate to for a research project. As school started up again, we began to meet again and quickly agreed to bring in Jeff for more information about what he needed to produce the video portions of the website. We sent him our scripts, and he let us know what he needed from us. Clearly edited scripts, which we didn't have, a vision for who was speaking, which we didn't have, what was going on in the background, and the effects that we expected to use, which we had ideas about. We debated whether we would produce a video to present to our community representatives by the end of October, but Jeff cautioned us that it would be much more efficient to film all of the segments at once. There would not be time to accomplish this before the last ILEAD session. It was around this time that we started to question how this project was actually going to function in reality. In our meetings, we discussed what it would take to complete our vision, including the website, marketing of the work to teachers, upkeep and growth of the site, and we knew that we needed to talk to our district curriculum coordinator about whether there would be district support for this effort. Our meeting with our curriculum coordinator was encouraging in some ways. We communicated ILEAD's emphasis on professional development and the process rather than the product. And we let her know our product would not be done by November. We asked about how the district would support us with finishing the videos and the website, as well as how it would be integrated into classrooms across the district. She assured us that we would have time to meet on an ongoing basis as librarians across the district, and as we all felt that that was a key component to any library work in the district. We decided to continue to work on our project until ILEAD was officially over, but questions about the future of that project, the product, loomed large.
So at this time, we decided to split our remaining work. Lisa and Devon worked on finishing the first of the 6 scripts. They produced this really slick-looking draft of what the focus segment of our videos would look and sound like. Clara and I worked on the task of putting this presentation together, creating a story of the team MDI ILEAD experience. And this was one way to tell our story. We came to these sessions, we struggled as a group. We compromised a lot. We were inspired by our sessions in Bangor and grew in our exposure to library leaders in the state. We worked on a project that we might or might not produce. A project that has had many iterations that we never imagined 9 months ago. And now a new tact. Because of our parallel story a story that dovetails with the origin of our proposal, from the pressures within our school system, the limitations of our jobs in schools. That story reads quite differently than, it may in fact contain our most significant content, the evidence of our growth, and the potential for influence as leaders in our community. In our work together, Team MDI ILEAD ran into the same barriers that we were experiencing individually in our school libraries. We were being asked to create curricular content for grades that 3 out of the 4 of us do not teach. Why are grades K and 4 being prioritized with services in some libraries, and yet the need for research skills is so great and so glaring in grades 4 through 8? One of our schools had cut 4-8 instruction about 4 years ago, another just last year, and financial pressures at the school are only intensifying as the numbers in our area dwindle. Will there even be certified school librarians in our community in the future? And who is advocating for these spaces, these jobs, and the value of instruction from librarians? Our contact with one another and our community representatives and our mentor has reinforced our concern that schools are letting go of school librarians, that town librarians do not take the place of certified library teachers, and that school libraries must advocate for their own role in the school. School librarians must hone and communicate their importance as school centers and avenues for research. It is still about the book, but it is also about creating a community of shared resources, accessing information through technology and through print, and learning from library teachers about best methods and practices for discovering, documenting, and creating information. So what have we gained from ILEAD? Well, a cohesive vision for what our students need and what our teachers need and what librarians need to be part of the school community and seen as integral team members in student instruction. The future will tell whether we can have an impact in and through our advocacy, but thanks to our time with ILEAD, we have clarity and support in communicating our message. And that's